Hello traders, John at StockBookie.com. Today we're looking at the SPY, the IWM, the Qs, the DIA, the IYT, the USO, the UUP, and the GLD. We follow the daily, weekly, monthly time frames, and we use technical analysis here at StockBookie.com. So let's get right to the chart. We'll look at the daily SPY, and same thing, guys, same pattern, inside bar, bearish pattern, but now we have another inside bar, bearish pattern. So an inside bar, inside a bar, and we're below the 50 and the 20 MA, so that's telling me technically we are getting weak on the SPY. They need to recapture this. They, meaning Janet Yellen. We still have a gap up here, and they still have to get it above this high. But we are below this trend line right now, so that's telling me we possibly could have a move down to this area, the 206, and maybe even to these gaps. Oops, sorry, getting a little crazy on us. 200, gap fill around 203.21. So let's see how this sets up next week, and we'll try to determine whether this thing's going up or down. We do have elections getting closer, so anything's possible. They could pop these up and get Hillary in, or they could drop it down and possibly get Trump in, or vice versa. I don't know. That's what they say. There's some article on CNBC that the markets are going to say what it's going to do, or who we're voting for, but we'll see. Anyways, on the weekly chart, we had an inside bar. We've been talking about this one. It's been going for 5 weeks now. We're talking about more it consolidates, the better chance we have for a downside. We did close below the 20 MA here today, but I still want to get a close below this 212.35, or going back to the daily, this red bar here, 212, that shows a little bar. This green bar here, 212.35. We close below that on a weekly close and a daily close. Then we'll wait for confirmation. Then I think we'll get some lower prices in the weeks to come. IWM. IWM, we always talk about this. It is a lagging indicator. IWM should be leading. It's still lagging. It did not get above the all-time highs going back. If I can get there. Well, actually, we'll go on the weekly. So again, inside bar, they tried breaking it out. They closed it above here. Nice reversal, came in. Bearish pattern, starting to fall. We're below the 50 and the 20 now. And if we get below the 120 or the 119.88 area, I think this thing can easily go down to 113.23. We'll have to wait and see how this pattern develops, and we still have some gaps here. We have a gap there, at the 108.28 gap. Maybe, we'll see. If this is getting to be interesting here. This pattern starting to break down. This trend line holding it. We'll see what next week brings. IWM. This is what I'm talking about, lagging indicator. Here's the all-time highs on the IWM. Nice retrace up, never made it. I mean, it still can, but until it pops above these highs, fills this gap, I still believe we're going down. So the 20 MA at this point on the weekly's holding it. You have this trend line down here that we have drawn. It's an upsloping trend line, let me tell you. I'd like to see it more gradual, but I'll take it right into the 20 MA, into the sloping trend line. Let's see if this holds. But at this point, this is starting to look weak to me. If we close below the 120, 119.88 area on a closing basis, we're going to look on Friday because this is a weekly. Then that's telling me we're going to start stair stepping down and possibly going to the 111 or the 200 MA, and then these pivots and so on and so forth. Again, IWM, lagging indicator. Got to keep an eye on that. The Qs now. The Qs is the strongest horse in the group here, but as it was floating up, floating up, floating up, floating up. I mean, we had a nice pullback here. This one actually took off, but you had to think Amazon was going, Google was going, NetEase was going, Nvidia was going, Tesla's not going anymore. But a lot of the tech stocks were leading the way, so that's why the Qs went straight back up. But the one thing that caught my eye here, we had some nice bullish consolidation inside this bar, and then boom, they popped it up. They barely closed it, or didn't close it above that 119.23 area, and then boom, nice reversal. And let's see if this thing's strong. Should get right back above the 20 MA, get right back above this big breakdown bar, on this day, this big red bar, and it just isn't, And then now we're closed below the 20 and the 50. But we're right on this trend line, so let's see. It looks like, they got below it, closed it, got above it, and they closed it right on top. So let's see if we get some more bearish consolidation here on the daily, setting up for lower prices. I'm still thinking 109. There's some gaps down here too. Yeah, 109. You have a gap down here at 102. This gap, it's pretty much the same thing from the Brexit here. Same thing on all these charts. You got the gap here, but we'll see as this thing goes. We'll put a fib in there. We'll really do some more technicals, see where this thing could possibly fall to if it starts to fall. If you're a bull, you need to get above that 119.49, and then possibly it will continue up to the 120, 123 area, but one step at a time here, guys. Next week will be an interesting week, at least for me. So on the weekly basis, we still are above all the MAs, so a strong stance, but this just kind of, kind of made a little umbrella here. It's like I want to see a more of a wedge and then a pop where this thing was going up. But we did close below this pivot, and we did close below this pivot, so that's telling me technically we are a little bit weaker, but it isn't a bullish stance being above all the MA, so you have to respect that. The DIA now on the daily looks pretty much just like the SPY. They've been chopping it around, chopping it around. This one, I mean, this, and then pulled back, came in, pulled back. This is not a head and shoulder, guys, so I don't think it is. A lot of people are saying it's not. On any of these indexes, no head and shoulder pattern, period. So, I mean, it still could fall, and you'll say, yeah, there was a head and shoulder, but no, we're setting up. This is bearish pattern, inside bar. Now we're below the 50 and the 20 MA, but still, as long as we're holding this 119.94 area, it's still okay. But if it keeps consolidating like this is setting up for lower prices. 176.32 in the cards. Then you have the gap fills down here. I ultimately think we get the 171.29. But we'll see how it reacts at the 20 MA. This is a nice pattern here, guys, setting up for lower prices, in my opinion. Weekly chart, same thing. We did close below the 20 MA, inside bar. We can't get above that trend line, so let's see if we can consolidate. We've been talking about this for weeks, and right here, if it keeps going sideways, this thing's setting up to go lower. But if this pattern fails, it could pop up. So we'll keep we'll keep an eye on this one, that is, and we'll see if this thing can continue to consolidate and possibly fall. Like I said, this area right around here on the daily, this is what we're looking for. A close below the 179.94. And then I think we could be on to the downside. But, we'll see. Anything can happen. Light volume can prevail once again, and then these markets just float up like they've been doing. Let's go to the IYT. The IYT, we've been talking for a couple months. Lagging indicators, just can't get a bid here. And we had a nice push up on the daily chart, and here we are. We're above the MAs. It did not, we've been closing above this pivot, up, down, and we finally pulled back. They finally tried to make a run again, came right back in. Technically, we still above the moving averages, but it's just, come on. The better pattern I like is the weekly on this one. But until we get above this area and confirm, and then we might go to the 150, 151. But man, it just cannot get going. It was 32 cents down today. Right when every time it gets back into this area, it has trouble. That's the 8,000 even number too. That's as well. But this is the one that's really we're really watching. This was we got above all the MAs on a nice 3-bar surge on the weekly basis. Bullish consolidation above all the MAs. Every time it tries to make a break, makes a break here, comes in. Tries here, that was a weak one. Here, they got almost there. They really tried here, and they really tried there, and they came right back in. So until it gets above the 145.63 area, I don't think it's going much higher. Until it gets above there and confirms. I mean, twice. I mean, this is weeks of trying to get up, and this is a great pattern. This thing should start. This thing right here. This is where it should have started going, and boom, came right back in, right back in. So until we get above that area and confirm, I still think we're going down. And monthly, we still got to wait for the end of the month. So we still are above the 20 MA. See how it came down? That's where it bounced. So they're trying to hold this thing up to keep the bulls on board, but we're still inside this big, huge, breakdown area here. So until it gets above there, I still think we're going down, period. And this is another lagging indicator. And that's the bottom line, guys. Let's go to the USO. There was some fun this week with the news and the inventory numbers. And oh my gosh, you hurry up, get in this thing. So again, we had a nice rally right into here. We added shorts at the 1166 area. Pulled back, inside bar, bearish. Macro bull, micro bearish. And if this thing keeps going sideways, I still think this will go down, in my opinion. And I'll tell you the reason once we get to the UUP. On the weekly close, we were watching this one really closely. Did not confirm above the 20 and the 50. That tells me we could possibly have lower prices. We did go into the 750 retrace. We talked about the 618. We talk about it also overshooting the 618. to the 750. So still good resistance, and we're still making lower highs. I mean, anything's possible with this one. But let's go to the UUP. This is what I've been watching lately, and that's why I'm adding this to our charts for the daily analysis here. Again, I mean, we got a nice launch. I don't like stocks moving up like this, or I mean, this is the dollar, of course, so this is manipulated by the central banks. But we had a nice close today, guys, and just keeping an eye on this. This went straight up into the 618, and you do have some pivots up in here too. Right there you have a pivot, so that's why it's holding, but it did close above there, and it did close above the 618. So let's see if we can get up into this area. If this thing keeps going, that should take the USO down a little bit more, and ultimately, man, I'm thinking this gap fill and possibly to 2612. I mean, that's a little bit ahead of ourselves. Let's see how it comes into this good resistance. But if this thing keeps going, gold's going to go lower, and the USO should go lower, or oil. But at this point, who knows? A lot of the oil's news driven now. The Saudis, Putin, these guys, oil inventory numbers. All that stuff is taking oil up. But on the weekly basis here, now we're above the MA, so now we're going to look for a close next Friday above this candle here. I'm thinking the 25.59 area and this trend line coming down, and that's sloping from the highs from up here. So you're going to have a ton of resistance coming up in here. If it blasts through there, then we're definitely going to 25.90, this 26, and possibly even the 26.50 will be the last area on the dollar. If that goes, oil will be coming in. Same with the gold. If it gets to that point, we will be taking the oil long and the gold long too. So let's go into the gold too. The gold, we've been waiting patiently, guys. Like I said, if you've been watching my videos, we're consolidating on the 200 MA. We're not above it. We are 7 days consolidation, which I'm liking. We get a couple more days. This comes in. I think we could get a push down. But check this out. So we get some good selling. They're shaking everybody out on some volume. Volume disappears. What does this thing do? Just floats. So you got everyone who was long. They're all selling here going, damn, this sucks. Oh my gosh, what's going on here? Probably getting margin calls because they're loaded the house in here. So now we get all the margin calls. It goes sideways, makes everybody think for 7 days. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I got to, I sold here and it's down here. I'm going to buy back, I think, right here. 115.71. And man, if it really starts to come in, I mean, there's some nice pivots here too. Don't get me wrong, 115. I love this gap fill around 112.40. And there's another gap fill around 109. If we get around 110 or so, I mean, that's dreaming, but you never know. That dollar starts screaming up, which it looks like it's about to. I think gold's going to come crashing down, as well as the markets too. That's what I'm saying. If the markets start to come in, gold's going down, the USO's going down, everything's going down, guys. The dollar will probably shoot up, but we got to keep an eye on that. Here's your pivot at 115. Here's your big gap fill, and then you have some more support right around the 110 to 107 right in this area. So let's keep an eye on this. Let's try to be patient as we can on the GLD, and hopefully we could get a good trade on this, or a good long trade. So let's just let this thing set up to get some lower prices. And if it goes up, guys, and we're not on it, oh well. There's plenty of more stocks out there to trade, and that's just another one that we missed. Just add it to the bucket list. All right, guys, so that's it for today. I want to say thank you for coming to my Google page, or my YouTube page. Please subscribe there. Just trying to get more people on board. Do some live sessions during the day. Try to get some trades going on. The more eyes on the market, the better off we are, and we could try to figure out on what stocks to make money on. I'm looking for tops right now, guys. Extended charts for some shorts, but let's see what next week brings, and you never know. We could fall apart next week, and now the shorts are getting paid. All right, guys, thanks again for watching my videos. Please subscribe on YouTube, and let's try to make some money next week. I'm going to do some live sessions, and we'll go from there. Thanks again, guys. God bless. See you on the charts.